This is Pastor Eric, and I just want to take a few moments to encourage you as you start this new week. We're now 6 weeks deep into this pandemic in our country, and it's been challenging. Not only are we dealing with the virus and trying to keep people safe and figure out all these ways to be able to do that and function, but now we have some fallout from some of this too, with economic problems and how do we open up our states and communities. And this is a challenge, and nobody has done this kind of thing before. It's difficult. It's hard. And I know that for you, it's just like it is for me. Some days are better than others. Some days it's easier to put our mind in the right place or thinking in the right place. And some days it's a real challenge. It's warfare. It's brutal sometimes, a battle to be able to get our mind in the right place that it should be, to get right thinking going on between our ears, and to have that go down into our hearts and the way we live and the way we express ourselves. We've all had moments of frustration. We've all had moments where we failed. But I want to tell you, if you've fallen on the mat, or maybe you even feel like you're failing right now, it's time to get up off the mat, because there's another day coming. And yesterday may have been difficult. Today may be difficult, but tomorrow could be better. We've got to get up off the mat and position ourselves for what God wants to do in our life. Our focus has to be Him. God's our supply. Even in the midst of challenge and frustration and financial troubles, God's still there. He's wanting to connect with us, and we need to connect with Him. I'm really excited for Sunday morning because we're going to be talking about how to problem solve in a pandemic. God lays out a great blueprint for how do we take the challenges in our life, the problems that we face, how do we work through that situation, how do we evaluate what we have to do what God's calling us to do, and we're going to walk through that together. I believe it'll transform your life, it'll transform your attitude, and it's going to transform the way that we do ministry. We're going to talk about how we're using that blueprint to set the tone for where we're headed. The next few months, at least, we've got some ideas for how we're going to do ministry together. We'll lay those out for you on Sunday morning. As I was going through my devotional time this morning, I was in Genesis and looking at the life of Lot, and particularly when God came to him to rescue him from the destruction that was coming to his community. Lot had been blessed in some ways. Lot had got comfortable in some ways where he was living, but God was about to do something new. And God cared for Lot so much that He was moving him from where he was to a different location so that he could be safe, that he would be protected, and him and his family could have a future. In the process of doing that, God laid out very specific instructions. He gave him a place to go, a direction to move in, but He also said, don't look backwards, keep your vision in front of you. I think that's important for us as we look for some type of normality in this situation. We all want that feeling of normal, and we need to be careful that we aren't going to be just looking backwards saying we want to go back to the way things were. We want to move forward in what God has for us instead. Lot's wife didn't obey God's instruction. Instead, she turned around and looked. Her vision was focused on behind her, where she had come from, what she was losing, what was in her past. And because of that, she lost her life. I think it's important for us to realize we must keep our vision here in the now and on the future where God's taking us. We can't look backwards for our future. If we do that, we'll spiritually die. We'll miss out on the greatest blessings that still lie ahead. God's taking us from a place that we were to a place where He wants us. There are new blessings on the road in front of us. But to get there, right now we're on the journey. We haven't yet arrived, and it's a struggle. There's some mountains to climb. There's some rough terrain to get through. There's some struggles we'll have. Maybe financially, maybe with your job, maybe things are going to transition for you in a way that you didn't expect. I don't know how long the season will last from where we've been to where God's calling us, but we're going to do it together. And I truly believe the greatest blessings still lie ahead for our church, for you as an individual, and for your families. God was very specific this year. He laid out a great vision, a vision statement for 2020. What He would do in us this year would set the foundation for where He takes us over the next decade. God is longing to move our hearts from being about church as an idol church as a building, church as a check mark that we check off and say we went, to doing life together, to being about reaching the lost. The future of our church will be different. And I, for one, am looking forward to what God is going to do as we end this process and get to the next promise in our life. I don't know how long this season will last, but I know that God is faithful to walk with us as long as our vision isn't behind us. It's here in the present and on the future where He's calling us to. We can do life together, church. I hope to see you Sunday morning, that you'll tune in to Problem Solving with the Pandemic on our YouTube channel and Facebook. I can't wait to bring that word to you, and I believe that God will transform us together. We'll see you on Sunday morning.